Yo, what's going on, guys? Hope all is well. I'm here with another live training, how to stop resenting your team and business partner. And I'm here with Wyra. Now, before we dive in, guys, if you are live, please drop a live in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, please drop a replay. Now, before we get on over here, I want to share with you why we actually decided to pick this topic. Because Wyra, as you can see, he's a business partner of mine at the Entrepreneur Brotherhood. But guess what? We've been business partners before as well. And clearly, we did a good job at it, which is why we're in business again, and we'll continue to be in business together. But there were many points through which we resented each other. So, Wyra, I want you to share a bit more on what your side of that story is, and what was it like being in business with me, and why did you resent me, or how did it make you feel resenting me?
Yeah, man. So, you were one of my best friends before we went into business together. So obviously we had a good relationship, but there have been many times throughout our business partnership where I felt like I wasn't getting what I needed from you. And I had all these assumptions about and expectations of how you should be showing up in the business, how you should be pulling more weight, or how you should be knowing or understanding what my needs are or what the business needs without me telling you. Like there's all these unconscious or undercover expectations that I had of you that you weren't fulfilling. And I wasn't communicating that to you. And so over time, I started to feel frustrated. Hamza doesn't do things the way that I like. Hamza doesn't do things the way that the business needs. Hamza doesn't know what he's doing, right? I would get frustrated and I wouldn't communicate that with you. And then over time, I would start to actually resent you and start to think negative thoughts about you and about our partnership, and start to think maybe I'm in business with the wrong person. Maybe I need to find a better business partner. Maybe my business would be more successful if I had a different partner. And these are the kind of thoughts that I know so many entrepreneurs have, that actually results in the end of so many partnerships and the collapse of many potentially successful businesses. And so it sucked, man. Like resentment never feels good. Productivity obviously diminishes. I started being passive aggressive with you. The team could feel that there was tension between the owners. Then that creates a lack of security and safety for the team members. They start worrying about that kind of shit. And it can create over time like a toxic culture that hurts employee retention. Customers aren't getting taken care of. The business isn't growing. Like there's just so many secondary and tertiary business effects that happened when our partnership at the top was unstable. And more than that, like I just stopped caring about you as much as a human being and as my brother. And that hurt as well, right? Like that was probably the saddest part, because we always agreed that regardless of what happens in business, we want to preserve our friendship. And so that's kind of how it felt for me and what the impact was on the business. But what about from your side, man? What did it feel like to be on the receiving end of that kind of resentment?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I could feel the resentment. I could feel the passive aggressiveness. And to be frank with you, it hurt my ego. So it made me act in the same way towards you. And that's not something that I wanted, but I also felt like really controlled in the relationship, given that you were usually stepping in as a CEO. There was a time where we stepped away from the business and everything, but as you know, that was you that was taking the lead over there. So I felt like I was working for someone again. It felt like I wasn't actually running my own business. And I was like, what the frick? Am I with the right person? Am I really doing this correctly? Does Wyra really know what he's doing? It's funny. I had like the exact same thoughts. And I'm very happy that we were able to get through those resentments. And I know that we're going to do a training right now and actually live demonstrate what it looks like for you to stop resenting your team and your business partners. And we'll do that. But on the other side of that, I want to talk a bit more briefly on what the benefits of the process that we're going to share with today is. What can entrepreneurs that follow what it is that you're going to share with us today expect if they do this in their business? What can they expect with their team? What can they expect with their business partners?
Yeah, man. So we'll definitely go into that in just a second. The two other things I want to say is, one, this can apply to your team as well, to your leadership team. can apply to really anybody on your team that you're feeling maybe a level of frustration or resentment towards. And let's even talk about what is resentment exactly and why does it happen? Well, frustration or anger is really the result of our boundaries or our needs not being met or listened to. When we have a need that, whether we communicate it or not, or we have a boundary that we feel like has been crossed and we're not getting those things, then the body's response is anger. And frustration is just a lighter form of anger. Resentment occurs when we feel anger for a long period of time and we don't communicate it. We don't do anything about it. We start feeling spiteful towards that person because of our unmet needs or our crossed boundaries. And so you got to recognize that if you're experiencing resentment, that's like a lagging effect. That's a delayed effect of tolerating the root issue for probably weeks or even months. And you got to go right to the very root and figure out what is it that's causing me to experience and feel this resentment, or what are the unmet needs that I have, or what are the boundaries that I have that I feel like are being crossed by this partner or this team member. And the solution to really frustration, anger, resentment in any relationship, whether that's with your spouse, whether that's with your family member, your mom, your business partner, your team member, the solution to that is to get into communication and to use the process that we're going to teach you today, which is actually called a clearing. It's to clear the air between you and that person that you're in a relationship with. And as far as what are the benefits, what can people expect when they use this process? Well, one, if you're not used to doing this, if you're not used to actually communicating transparently about your anger, about your needs, about your boundaries, like I wasn't, because I was never taught that growing up, I had to learn it, you can expect it to feel uncomfortable. You can expect it to feel maybe a little bit challenging or confronting or uncomfortable or maybe silly. Like, why do I need to do this? Why am I doing this? What's the point of this? But you got to trust us that on the other side, what you'll experience is a sense of increased connection with that person, a sense of maybe understanding that they actually understand where you're coming from and understand what you need and what your boundaries are. I'd say the benefits of that are like, then people have the opportunity to change and correct their behavior and give you what you need and correct their actions if they've been crossing your boundaries. And so increased communication, more collaboration, more productivity, better team morale, a better sense of like, we're a team and we're going to crush this thing. You're going to make more money. You're going to have more innovation in your company. Like, the benefits go on and on and on. Yeah, but I'd say that's probably what you can expect. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, man, I really like that. And I agree with that. When we didn't deal with our resentments, it really delayed productivity and affected our profitability. I mean, the thing that people don't understand is that bottled up emotions, bottled up feelings, especially towards your team, especially towards your business partner or business partners, can result in a drop in your revenue, because there's a energy leak is what we like to call it. Because at the end of the day, just like when you're on Chrome and you've got hundreds of tabs open, the tab that you want to focus on, you can't, because there's hundreds of tabs in the background that are taking the energy, in other words, leaking from this reservoir of energy you have. And so to do a clearing and to clean up the resentment is going to be like you clicking the cross on all those tabs and just focusing on your one tab. And so if you are doubting whether or not clearing up your resentments towards anyone in your life is going to help your business, then doubt no more, because it will. So without further ado, Ira, let's go through a demonstration of what a clearing looks like.
Yeah, sounds good. So the first thing to do is really just set expectations about what the clearing is and what you are intending to do, what your intention is. So I would say, like, Hamza, I want to communicate with you. I want to have a bit of a conversation and maybe share some things with you that I haven't been sharing with you in the past. and I'd like to do a clearing with you. Are you open to sitting down with me and having a conversation right now, a neutral conversation where I can share some of these things with you?
Yes, Wyra, I'm available. And just so you guys know, right, if you're not available in that moment, you can schedule a time because, it's a business environment. But for the purpose of this, of course, I'm available, Wyra.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. So what I want to do is we've got 3 prompts here that I want to go through. And I just want to start by sharing something that I want you to know is. And what I request is that while I'm sharing with you, that you just listen. And afterwards, I actually really want to hear from you if there's anything that you want me to know that you haven't been sharing with me. And I'll just listen. Is that cool with you? Can I just share and you'll just listen for maybe a minute or two?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Hamza, something that I want you to know is I feel like we are not in sync in the business right now. Hamza, something I want you to know is I feel like you're not taking full ownership for your role in the business right now. Hamza, something I want you to know is that I've been feeling really frustrated about our business partnership lately. Something I want you to know, Hamza, is that I don't feel like you really listen to me when I bring ideas to the table. Hamza, something I want you to know is that I've been feeling like resentment towards you. Hamza, something I want you to know is that I miss the old days when we were just friends and not business partners because it felt like we would laugh together and we were more connected together. Cool. So just pause there for a sec. So I would go through really maybe a minute or 2 minutes of just what is the top of mind things that I haven't been telling Hamza that I want him to know, that he needs to know for me to clear the air. I was just making those things up from past history, Hamza. I don't feel those things towards you. We're clear. But that's really the first step in the question is something I want you to know is. So person A would go, and then we're going to flip it around and person B would go. So I'd say, Hamza, thank you for listening. I'd like to know from you, in your response, just is there anything that you want to share with me that you haven't been able to share in the past? And maybe just use the prompt, something I want you to know is.
Right. Yeah, something I want you to know is that sometimes I think your ideas are just going way too fast for me to keep up with. Something I want you to know is that when you're focusing on multiple businesses, I don't feel like our business is getting the time and attention that it deserves from you. Something I want you to know is that I haven't really been feeling your presence on the meetings, and I can tell that you're distracted when we're on meetings because you're doing something else. Something I want you to know is that I really wish that you could just drop down your mask of who you think you need to be in the business and just be there as Wyra, my friend. So that's an example of what I would do in response. And so what's the next prompt?
Cool. So we finished the first prompt. So you're going to say thank you. And the next prompt is, Hamza, something that I need is I need you to communicate better with me when you feel like you don't understand my ideas so that we can make sure that we're collaborating well together. Hamza, something I need is you to Hamza, something I need is I need to feel like you're as invested in the growth of our company as I am, and that you are taking as much ownership for your department as I am for mine. Hamza, something that I need is you to tell me when you don't understand what I'm saying to you. Hamza, something that I need is for us to talk sometimes just as friends and not always as business partners. Hamza, something that I need is you to step up in the way that you're leading your team and take more ownership for the results of your department instead of blaming the situation or the circumstances. All right, so cool. We'd go through that for a minute. Hamza would say thank you, and then we would switch. Okay, Hamza, thanks for listening. I'd love to hear from you. What is something that you need from me?
Cool. And then I'm just gonna go with a few over here. Something I need from you is to, ask me what I think about an idea before just implementing it. Something I need from you is to show up to meetings on time, even if you're a minute late, then that makes a difference to me and to the team. Something I need from you is to, yeah, just be curious and just ask more questions on how the team and the rest of everyone feels about something, rather than jumping to conclusions. So, and then what's the next prompt?
Thank you. Next prompt, and the final prompt here in this process is, Hamza, something that I appreciate about you is our friendship. Hamza, something that I appreciate about you is the fact that you're so flexible when plans change and we need to pivot the business in a different direction. Hamza, something that I appreciate about you is your resilience and how much you are willing to just persevere even when things are really challenging. Hamza, something I appreciate about you is how creative you are and all the ideas that you bring to the table. Cool. So I would go for probably a minute or 2 minutes and just close out this clearing with the things that I appreciate about Hamza. Hamza's going to say thank you, and then he's going to go back and share some things with me. So maybe Hamza, why don't you just wrap that up with 1 or 2 things?
Yeah. Something I appreciate about you, Wyra, is how much of a leader you are and how much you've grown over the years as a leader. Something I appreciate about you is how much you love traveling like me and experiencing life. You're not just a homebody. You get out there and you do cool stuff. Something I appreciate about you is how physically active you are. You actually inspire me to be more physically active, and it's because of you that I've actually recently gotten into the gym, even though I like martial arts more and more functional stuff, but lifting weights has been great. Something I appreciate about you is how open you are. You're always there to listen and you are willing to make things work. It's not like dealing with a brick wall. And on the flip side, something I appreciate about you as well is how stoic you are, because you have been through a lot, you go through a lot, and you just keep on persevering. Appreciate
Nice.
you, man.
Thank you, Hamza. Cool. So in summary, that's really what the clearing process looks like. So what I recommend that you do is, number 1, take some time for yourself to journal, probably write down on those 3 questions what you would want to say if that person were right in front of you, or what have you been avoiding or resisting actually saying to that person, and use the something I want you to know is, something I need is, and something I appreciate about you is as the prompts or the starting point to communicate those things. Step 1, get clear on what you need to communicate. Step 2, ask the person if they are willing and open to sit down and have a clearing with you, and schedule that. That's number 2. Don't just spring it on them. Hamza, something I want you to know is, right? Like, ask for permission and set the intention of like, hey, the goal for this is that I want to just get clear with you. I want to have some communication about things that maybe I've been avoiding telling you so that we can improve our professional and our personal relationship. Is that cool with you? So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is just run the person through the prompts, explain what the process is. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put maybe 2 minutes on a timer. I'm just going to share with you some things that I want you to know. I request that you just listen. And then at the end, you can share with me anything that you want me to know in response. And then at the end of the whole process, we can debrief about it and talk about maybe how we felt and any actions that we need to take. Does that sound good to you, Hamza? Okay, great. Step 4, run through the process. Something I want you to know is, something I need is, something I appreciate about you is. And then the very last step, step 5, is debrief. Just share with each other. Cool. How was that for you? Did you learn anything? How did it feel? And then is there anything that we need to do differently in our relationship moving forward to have this be more productive, more effective, and improve our personal professional relationship? So that is the clearing process. And if you do this process with the people in your life, with your spouse, with your business partners, with your team, I promise you it will help you eliminate resentment. And if you get into the habit of doing this process early, before it gets to the point of resentment, but when you just feel that maybe frustration or your needs aren't being met or your boundaries are being crossed, I promise you, you'll experience less resentment in your relationships. You'll experience more productivity, more creativity, more connection, more love, more wholeness, more profit, more innovation in your business. So yeah, thanks for being part of this training with us. Hamza, any final words before we wrap this up?
Yeah, guys, this is very, very important. And there's a lot of emotional charge sometimes around business partnerships and team members. And one of the things that Wyra and I have really benefited from in our lives in entrepreneurship while running multiple businesses is by being around other men that could give us the feedback and help us see how we are being resentful towards our business partners. Because while you're listening to this, you may not even think that you have resentment, but having a group of men around you, a brotherhood of men around you that can give you that feedback that no other family member, that no other team member or even business partner might say can be so beneficial. And so we created something called the Entrepreneur Brotherhood, since we've benefited so much from different brotherhoods. And that brotherhood is really all about guys getting together every single week, not coaching each other, not being a bunch of gurus and thought leaders, but just being other men in business, sharing honestly and vulnerably about not just business, but also about life, and giving each other that support and also the kind of accountability that's needed to become the men we say we want to be. All right. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you're someone that is committed to gaining the degree of clarity in who you need to become, the amount of ownership that it takes to become who you want to become, and being held accountable to becoming that version of yourself, then the Entrepreneur Brotherhood might be something that you're interested in. If that's the case, then send me a message, DM me. I'll be more than happy to chat a bit more about that with you. Hope you guys enjoy this.